Welcome back to some new r/PettyRevenge stories, where people get small victories over those who wronged them. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called Opening My Mail. Years ago, in the UK, I had to move houses as the landlord was the worst. I changed my address as soon as my new place was confirmed, and moved out almost a month before I had to, as rent was paid up. A lot of mail wasn't getting to the new place, and a friendly ex-neighbor tipped me off that my ex-landlord was there almost every day. And the first thing he'd do after opening the front door was bend down and pick up my mail and freaking open it with his greasy little hands and have a good snoop. I went to the post office to see what they could do, and Royal Mail offered a forwarding service that they set up for me to go to my new address. It was then that I had the light bulb moment. Once the forwarding service was working, I sent a first-class letter to myself at my old address, marked confidential, do not forward. Inside it was a card saying, "This is actually for you, landlord," with some drawings just for him. The next story is called Enjoy the Drive. 2 years ago, I had a side gig reselling books. Most of my sourcing came from garage sales, estate sales, the usual suspects. But twice a year, my sourcing came exclusively from college students, trying to unload their books as fast as possible, and hopefully for more than the bookstore would buy them back for. On this fateful day, I stumbled across a Facebook Marketplace posting for a barely used textbook worth around $30 on its own. But alongside it, there was a very valuable online course code worth well over $100. The post reads specifically that the asking price of $50 is for both the book and the code. A few follow-up messages confirm the product and the price, and I find myself 20 minutes away at a mall parking lot to pick up the stuff. I hand her the cash, and she hands me the book without the online course code. I ask where the course key is, and she says, "Oh, I just realized how valuable that is. So this is just for the book." I tell her that wasn't the deal. I wanted both items, and drove an hour one way to pick up the items. She refuses to give me the key, even initially refusing to give me my money back for the book. I finally get my money back and we part ways. Frustrating, but not super unusual for Facebook Marketplace people. An hour later, I saw the same post, this time with an asking price of $150. This is about what the book and course code would cost brand new from a reputable seller. So I figured this will sit for a while. Fast forward a week, and I see the posting still up. With college resale season ending, I figure I have some time to exact some revenge. I hop over to an alternate Facebook account with a fake name and profile. I message her that I am in immediate need of the book and account key, and that I will pay $300 if she can drive up to my college an hour away and drop it off tonight. I made up some story about the professor docking us a letter grade for not having the book for class the next day, and that I would do whatever it took to get the book, only I don't have a car. Excited to earn an extra $250 on top of what she almost sold it for the prior week, she immediately agrees. I tell her I get off work at 9 PM, and if she wanted to meet me there at the end of my shift, I'd have the cash on me. I tell her if I don't message back, I'm probably finishing up my side work, but just ask for me up front and they'll find me. 9 PM rolls around, and I get a message from her saying, "I am here." That was the last we ever spoke. The last story is called Bad Workshop. I was young and had my little hand-me-down Acura Integra since I was 16. My parents let me borrow it, and I paid for everything: repairs, insurance, gas, etc. When I graduated high school, it was my graduation present. I had actually paid about $1,000 to them to cover insurance for a long-term time, not long before they dropped having me pay for insurance, because neither my sister nor stepsister were paying for theirs. My stepdad was a mechanic and specialized in cars made for racing and car shows. He and his boss had their vehicles featured in car magazines that were sold internationally. He took care of the repairs for it, and I paid for parts. When I got to be around 23 to 24, I had moved pretty far away, so obviously my stepdad wasn't taking care of the repairs anymore. But I did know some basic things. I was driving down the road when suddenly smoke came pouring out from under the hood. I panicked, but pulled over as safely as I could and quickly contacted AAA. They sent someone to come tow the car to their garage to get it repaired. I get to the garage after I finally get a ride, since they wouldn't let me ride in their truck. They tell me the mechanic is looking at it now. I wait a bit and then the guy comes out. He looks concerned and then lays it on me. Your whole radiator blew. It will cost about $2,000 or so to have it replaced. I began to panic because that was more than the car was worth. Then with a slight smirk, he says, "I'll tell you what, I will pay you $2,000 and just take it off your hands for you, since the repairs are worth more than the car itself." Alarm bells went off immediately. This guy was obviously trying to scam me and take my car. Now I'm mad. I don't let it show though and say that I have to make some phone calls. I step outside and walk around and peek into the garage bay. The guy steps back into the garage and goes to his bench and starts chatting with the other mechanic. He's grinning up a storm. Plastered all over his workbench are photos of modified cars. One of the photos happens to be my stepdad's boss's car, which is a bright yellow Acura Integra and hard to miss. This was the one at the front and it all clicked into place. I called my stepdad and asked him about how likely it was that the radiator had completely blown. He said it was highly unlikely, but not impossible. I explained everything to him and he told me, "Do not sell that car. He's trying to get it cause he wants to kit it out. Ask if he can show you exactly in the engine where the problems were. If he shows you, he might be legit, but take photos and send them to me so I can be sure. If he refuses or attempts to distract and dissuade you, he's lying. Get it towed to another shop right away. Do not let them do anything until after I verify." I hung up and put back on my distraught face, making my way back into the office. I asked the manager if the mechanic could show me exactly where the problem was. The manager went and got the mechanic, and wouldn't you know it, he absolutely refused to show me, saying I wouldn't know what I was looking at. There was no point, because it was completely busted, and any other excuse he could. I told them, "Please do not make any repairs. I am going to have it towed to another shop." They got angry and tried to dissuade me again, but I wouldn't budge. I called AAA to see if they could cover having it towed to a different location. They said no, that it had already been taken to a AAA garage, so any other towing would be on me. I arranged my own tow and had them tow it to a shop right next to where I was living that had the best reviews in town. The reviews all made a point of saying that they never tried to get people to do unnecessary repairs, and often did their best to save people money. One even said they had taken it to a different place, and they tried to get him to do a bunch of stuff before being brought there, and told most of it was completely unnecessary. After I had it towed there, I got a call from AAA again. They wanted to know why I was having it towed to a different shop, as it seemed very odd, and they were following up on that request. I told them everything. The lady was silent for most of my story. She asked me, do they have AAA logos on their vehicles? I confirmed that they didn't just have one, but no less than 6 AAA logos on each tow vehicle they had, and that it was prominently displayed on their website and pictures of the trucks were on there too. She stayed silent for a while and said she would call me back again before hanging up. The other shop looked over my car and everyone was super kind and friendly. The mechanic came and got me from the waiting room and took me back to the shop. He pointed into the engine. See that hose there? It's the factory hose. It's over 20 years old. It ruptured because it was too old. I'm surprised it lasted this long. I asked about the whole radiator being blown, and he looked at me like I had grown several heads. What? No, of course not. I even tested it, and it was fine, even well beyond its labeled rating. Whoever told you that was lying. We went back into the office, and I explained everything to them, and they looked at me horrified. Again, the mechanic interjected. What a jerk. How dare he lie and try to steal your car like that? What's the shop's name? So I can make sure no one I know ever goes there. Trying to say it will cost $2,000 to repair when it just needs a $20 hose replaced. They fixed up my car, and after I got it home, I got a call. It was AAA again. The lady asked if I had any updates. Boy, did I fill her in. I didn't leave anything out. Everything the mechanic had said. The discrepancy in the repair costs and the actual repair required. She was silent, but I could hear her fingers madly typing away. Once I was done, she said, "I am so sorry for what happened. We take these things very seriously. Don't worry, they won't get away with this." A week later, I checked on that shop. All the AAA logos were gone, and they were no longer listed as being an AAA approved business. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. And now, I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.